Well, I guess maybe what you're referring to as a number of cases of this accusation being made against those of us who believe in creation. One of them is the so-called bad design of the eye. I say so-called because actually the BBC News just recently, in a programme which was written by Jonathan Webb in March 2015, actually showed in this article that recent research had shown that the shape of the pipes or the cells in front of the retina were actually very important for colour vision. People have tried to suggest, including Dawkins, but many others have tried to suggest that the eye is wired backwards, that it's a jolly poor design of the eye. Why would you put all these cells in front of the photons hitting the retina on the back of the eye? And in this article in 2015, in March, this is what it says. These cells, which sit in front of the ones that actually sense light, so it's admitting that there are cells in front of the photons, in front of the retina, rather, where the photons eventually hit the retina. It says, these cells, which sit in front of the ones that actually sense light, play a major role in our colour vision that was only recently confirmed. They funnel crucial red and green light into the cone cells, leaving blue to spill over and be sensed by what are called the rod cells, which are responsible for our night vision. Key to this process, researchers now say, I'm quoting this article, is the exact shape of the pipes. The long, thin cells are known as Muller Gilia. Muller is the name of the person who gave his name to the idea of Muller cells. And Muller Gilia are these particular thin cells which are in front of the retina. And they were originally thought to play more of a supporting role in the retina, but are now realized to be essential for color vision. So contrary to the challenge that the eye is a bad design, the photoreceptors, which is what we're referring to, are in front of the eye to guide the right amount of light with not too many photons hitting the retina. If you actually had a lot of photons hitting the retina all at once, it could actually cause a burnout to occur in the retina. So it would seem that these cells, so-called badly designed eye cells, are there deliberately both to restrict the number of photons hitting the retina and also, as this article that I've just quoted brings out, they are there in order to funnel red and green in particular into the cone cells, leaving blue to spin over and to spill over, and to be sensed by the rod cells. So it's all to do with carefully organizing the light to actually go in the right place, depending on its frequency. Well, I find that astonishing. In other words, the eye is very well designed, thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Atheist. We actually can see that contrary to what was thought, when you actually do your experiments carefully, you see why the eye is designed the way it is. And now do you see that that works out because of good engineering principles? Going back to what I said with von Karman, engineers discover what was not there, right? Now, that applies to engineering something or making something which is just simply in one's mind, and you suddenly realize, well, I've got all the material to do it. I'm now going to make something which nobody else has made before. But it also applies to when you look at what I call, this is well known that we call this, is when you look at the eye in terms of reverse engineering. You know what I mean by reverse engineering? Reverse engineering is when the Russians were famous for doing this when an American plane crashed in their territory, or they found some parts of it. And Chinese, similarly, they tried to reverse what they found and say, well, can we copy that and make something just as good as that? The same thing happened with Concorde. We had the famous Tupolev Tu-144, which is really a copy of Concorde, where engineers from over in Russia at that time looked at Concorde and thought, well, okay, the reason they must have had the wings the way they had them is because of this principle, that principle, the other principle. We'll build something like Concorde. So that's what we call reverse engineering. Now, it's the same thing when you come to actually looking at the eye. You're into a reverse engineering principle. Now, of course, the evolutionists will say, oh, it's not engineered. Yeah, very bad design. Well, hold on. I say, let's just have a look at why the eye is designed the way it is. You say it's not designed at all. You say that the photoreceptors are in the way of the photons getting to the retina. But could it be that there is a reason for it? Now, obviously, you can't always find the reason immediately why things are the way they are, but you can say, given enough time, we may be able to find the reason. And people who are not friendly to the position I take, which is creation, actually have shown that the photoreceptor cells are in front of the retina for a very good reason, because it restricts the number of photons, and it also helps, not just helps, it's actually vital for making sure that the blue light goes in the proper location and the red and green light goes into another location. Colour vision. Brilliant.